work because I'm from the Federal University of Rio Grande in South Brazil, but this research was conducted in the opposite side of the country, in the northwest coast, where I am from. And I developed this study together with some colleagues. So, what we did was to identify the sources of microplastics in 2 beaches in the northwest coast of Brazil with high school students from a public school in our country to create science-based public policies. And just to contextualize, public schools in Brazil usually have not a high level of education because the government, unfortunately, doesn't invest too much on this. So this was an opportunity to work together with these students and make their dream to be scientists and to have access to high-level education, to the university, for example. So this is an ongoing study. We are still collecting data and analyzing data, and we try to combine the theory and the practice in the pedagogical process of teaching and learning science in a multidisciplinary way. So these data present now were collected during 7 months from January to June of this year. And these 2 beaches in Flecheiras and Emboaca beaches are a kind of paradise. You can type on Google later. But it's, of course, contaminated by plastics in different types and sizes. And anyway, so what we did was to collect the rubbish in a manual way, microplastics. After the sampling, we separated them by category. So, for example, into bottles, bottle caps, straws, fragments, plastic bags, and other categories. And we counted them and weighted them. We found almost the same amount of items in both regions, in both beaches, but with different weight. So the weight of the microplastics in Flecheiras was lower than in Emboaca. And the high abundance of plastics in Emboaca beach, maybe it's due to the marine currents, because this beach, it's away from the village, so there is not so almost the same amount of litter. Probably the marine currents, the tides are bringing trash to this region, microplastics. And also the distance from the village limits the beach cleanup by municipalities. And the other beach, Flecheiras Beach, is located inside a village and receives thousands of tourists annually. As I say, it's a high amount of litter as well. That is probably due to the continuous disposal by beach users and also the urban drainage. So identifying the sources, of course, is essential for creating strategies to prevent the entry, the import of plastic waste in coastal zones, as you cannot manage what you don't know. And the results and the hypotheses we formulated until now were inserted in a document, in an official document, and were reported to the city council. And on these photos, you can see the first one is the beach full of microplastics. And the second one is when I was there last Christmas. I went to visit my family, but I took the opportunity to start developing this project. So I was training the students, and then they continued collecting samples and analyzing the samples. And we created this document to the environmental agency that we delivered 1.5 months ago. And that's it. I'll be happy if you have any questions. It's a kind of use science and also citizen science to mobilize the community, because the local community is, I could say, poor. So it's basically they live from fisheries, and also they work to the big resorts and hotels at the region, but they are suffering with the environmental pollution. So we are trying to change this situation and also trying to make these young people, these teenagers, involved with science and with policy-based science to change their reality, because I really believe education can change our reality. I'm from there, so I know the situation these teenagers are under, and yeah, I'm really happy that we are doing this project.
Thank you, Anna, for sharing this interesting initiative. Without doubt, the sensitization is one of the ways to address it. We have very small time before closing this room, and there is another question that has entered, and it's addressed to Macarena. If you are still around, Macarena.
Yes, here I am.
The question is if is the adhesion of minerals specific to plastic particles, or will they adhere to particulate organic matter and other minerals?